The left has become completely unhinged this week on immigration law that separates families at the border.
I think I'm going to have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight.
Donald Trump increasingly looks like Hitler in Nazi Germany.
Families are being torn apart. Who in America could do this?
It is ugly, it is child abuse, it's a human rights abuse, and he should be ashamed of himself. And people that support him should be ashamed of themselves.
Joining me now with a reaction, contributor at The Federalist, Britt McHenry, the founding publisher of Catalina magazine, Cathy Areu, and Anna Paulina, an Air Force veteran and conservative activist. All right, Anna Paulina, I mean, this was a really disgusting display from the left in the media, comparing everybody who wants border enforcement to Hitler. What do you think about that?
I'll start out by saying what I've always believed, that secured border saves lives all the way around. To compare what's going on at the border without the facts and making such demonizing statements is not only damaging to the United States as a whole, but it's damaging to so many people that have actually gone through the atrocities of what happened during World War II. It
is. It really kind of lessens the tragedy there in Germany in the 30s and the 40s. And someone spoke out about this, the Border Patrol union president in the Tucson sector, Art Del Cueto, pretty just disgusted with being compared to some sort of, stormtrooper. Listen to what he had to say.
It is sickening that certain members of the media have chosen to attack our president. It is sickening that certain members of the media have chosen to attack Border Patrol agents and describe us as Nazis. Agents that I know, that I've worked with, myself included, go out there to that field numerous times with our own food that we buy, toys, clothes, and everything else, so we can assist some of these people that we arrest in the border. To compare us to Nazis is a whole new low.
Britt, that needed to be said, and I just found this out today. Half of our Border Patrol agents are Hispanic.
Yeah, and I just want to know, where are the tears in April of 2016 under the Obama administration, when now we're finding out immigrant children as young as 14 had bags over their head, were chained up in the Shenandoah Valley Juvenile Center? We have had long-standing immigration problems, and for these Border Control agents, they also have to deal with, Jesse, as Homeland Security pointed out, a 300% increase in adults unrelated to immigrant children trying to traffic
family
them.
units.
Yeah.
They're rushing the border because they're trying to take advantage of the catch and release soft border policy, Cathy. Don't you think the Democratic policy on the border is actually pro-cartel?
Pro-cartel?
Because they're the ones making money off the coyotes. They're the ones smuggling the drugs when it's such an open border. They're the only ones benefiting.
The Democrats are benefiting from the drugs and coyotes and...
No, I'm saying the cartels are.
The cartels?
Because the border is not being enforced.
Well, we're talking the southern border. That's what we're all concerned about. The southern border, nothing about the northern border, nothing about our other borders.
Are you worried about the Canadians
yes, I'm worried about
coming
the Canadians.
across?
I'm worried about the terrorists that come from Canada.
Do we have a crisis on the northern border with Canada that I don't know about?
Well, we don't have terrorists trying to come through the northern border. I mean, all our borders should be secure if we're going to talk about borders.
I agree, but the last time I checked, there aren't massive, unchecked hordes of illegal immigrants pouring from north to south.
There's no hordes coming from south to north. I mean,
there's hundreds of thousands of people crossing.
This is an exaggeration.
Anna Paulina, go ahead.
Hold on. My husband fought 5 combat tours overseas, and you're going to school us on what it's like to actually deal with terrorist organizations? The threat of immigration and what's happening currently in the United States is being completely blown out of proportion for a few reasons. If you want to talk about statistics, the DEA is reporting that in Arizona alone, there's over $100 million drug organization coming in illegally into this country. Drugs, cartel, and I saw your article that you did on MS-13 just being a gang. They are sending coyotes, and they're working for the Sinaloa cartel, and if you're saying something else, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. These are damaging children and women, and for you to say that you're feminist is terrible.
Yeah, Cathy.
I don't recall writing an article about
the people that bring children across the border. I know a lot of the times they're trying to do what's best for their family, but that is a dangerous, dangerous trek, and they're putting their child in jeopardy. And to come across that valley and put a $5,000 price tag on their head from a smuggler, and then half the time they have to work that debt off once the child reaches a sponsor family. That's human trafficking.
Well, luckily, it's at an all-time low. Immigration's at an all-time low.
It is not at an all-time low.
Yes, we're at a net zero right now. Our biggest problem with immigration was about 20, 30 years ago. The economy in Mexico is better than ever.
The State Department is reporting 18,000 women are being brought into this country. That is modern-day slavery.
It's been a worse problem in the past. This is not the worst it's been.
I don't think that's a good argument that it's not as worse as it's been. Britt, I always consider this kind of like an airport, all right? If you have an airport in this country, you come in, you show your ID, they check you out, they say where you're from, where you're coming from. That's how it should be in the southern border. Instead, you can just come across. No one asks for your ID. There's no barrier there. Well, don't you think the rest of the country should be as secure as our airports?
Absolutely. You know, look, children should be with their families, but Democrats have all these feelings and they have no solutions to it. And that's the problem. The goalpost keeps moving. You give an inch, President Trump signed the executive order. Now, all of a sudden, you saw in the media, let's just take everybody. Let everybody come in. It's a privilege to be an American. It's a privilege to live in this country, and we don't have open borders. You need to enforce it. And this has become, in my opinion, if you look at Time magazine with the Photoshop photo of the little girl and President Trump, and now the father of that girl saying, she wasn't separated from her mother.
But she was sad. She was sad, and she was at a detention center.
That's fake news. It's a completely different issue.
She existed, she was there, and she was sad because her mother wasn't separated from her. It's a different story. She was there, she was sad.
Her mother was trying to find work.
All right. Listen, I don't think we're ever going to solve the crisis if the Democrats don't agree that we have borders in this country. And if you don't enforce those borders, you don't have a country.
Northern borders as well as southern?
Okay, watch out for those Canadians. Here they come.
All right,
across
ladies.
the board. It saves lives for Americans, and it saves lives for us here. And the Mexicans as well.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Here to debate from just up the road, San Diego-based immigration attorney Esther Valdez, and in Florida, Democratic strategist Michael Starr Hopkins. All right, Michael, you've been watching this show tonight. Your perspective on this debate. I know we have Democrat and Republican, but let's just focus, if we can, on the facts, the laws that exist, the court decisions that have been handed down. I'm interested in your perspective.
Absolutely. So I want to take the labels away and say that I think we're conflating two very different things. When the Trump administration put in their zero tolerance policy, what they did was make it harder for people who were trying to claim asylum to cross the border legally. And so now what you're seeing is everyone who's crossing the border is crossing illegally, which messes up the status of what's going on, because what could have been a civil infraction is now going to be a criminal misdemeanor.
Esther.
Absolutely not. That's incorrect. I've been a practicing immigration attorney for 14 years here at the border. This is my hometown. I'm also the daughter of Mexican immigrants. What we're seeing is a twofold process that the Trump administration is highlighting why the laws don't work. Not only is there a loophole for mothers with children, but we have fake families being presented at the border and also criminal prosecution, which that's how the law has read for the approximately 20 years. There's nothing new under the sun, but for the fact that we're saying, Mom and Dad, if you come in, we're going to prosecute you as a misdemeanor or as a felony. And naturally, in America, we don't incarcerate families. What we do is we treat children humanely, we separate them, and I've had the honor to visit children and represent children and win successfully asylum cases from Mexico in over 7 states. Those detention centers are not caged. They're happy, and they rather avail themselves of what's going on in America than to stay in Mexico or Central America where they're raped, pillaged, and trafficked.
Which is exactly why they're fleeing their country.
That's exactly right.
Well, yeah,
and that's why we treat them better,
right.
and they want to be detained here while they go through judicial process and due process. All of the women that I represent, which are mostly women and children, they rather avail themselves of American laws because they understand they will be protected to undergo the asylum process, which unfortunately takes many years. And that's why Ted Cruz's legislation is wonderful, because he's proposing making it more expeditious and making it more rapid so these families aren't detained and or separated.
But Ted Cruz's
Michael,
legislation
the frustrating thing here.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's one second. The frustrating thing here is that there were family detainment centers. However, they were delicensed by court order. So this happened in Texas, and there were 2 major detention centers that were for family units. And border activists, these are international activists, I tweeted out one of the big activist groups today, they were celebrating the family detainment centers being closed because they want all the families released into the American society. I understand that, but then don't complain when family units can't be held together because all these places have been shut down. I guess we're just going to have to figure out a way to open them again, I guess. Michael.
Recall that it's only 2,000 children that are being separated from their families. Again, I have clients that are from 2 to 10 years old. There's approximately only 2,000. The other 10,000 are with their families. The 2,000 that are separated, they're rapidly reunited.
Yeah, Michael, 10 seconds to close it out. I'm not being fair to you, giving you time.
No problem. I just want to say that we have prosecutorial discretion here, and we can decide whether we want to prosecute people under civil or criminal penalties. And here, what we need to make sure we're doing is not conflating criminals with people who are actually trying to seek asylum.